What's up, guys? It's Nick Benson back with another episode of the Pack Nation podcast. Packers fresh off of a game against the Chicago Bears where they clinched a playoff berth, the 7th seed in the NFC, and continued their dominance over the Bears with their 10th straight victory over them, which is awesome to see. And now this weekend they have a game with against the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round of the playoffs, another team that they've had success with over the last number of years. Packers are going to be big underdogs this weekend, of course. The 7 seed going to the 2 seed, and Dallas being undefeated at home, which is to be expected. But give the Packers a chance in this one. With the way Jordan Love is playing, the way that this offense is playing, I think that no team would want to play the Packers right now. But that being said, they're playing with house money. With the way this season went, and the expectations heading into the year, I would just say making the playoffs under Jordan Love in year one is a big accomplishment. I know that this is Green Bay. I know that, Super Bowl titles are the expectation in Green Bay. But given that this team was so youngest team in the NFL, and now the youngest team in NFL history to ever make the playoffs, I think that us people who cheered for this team, Packer Nation, we should just be just blown away by the way that this team has grown within this past year. And you go back to 1 year ago, Green Bay was in a similar situation that they were in on Sunday against Chicago. They were sitting at 8-8 with a win-in game against the Detroit Lions at Lambeau. The expectations for that team were different. With Aaron Rodgers, it was all in every year. It was every single year if it's not a Super Bowl, it's a bust. Ever since they won their Super Bowl in Super Bowl 45 in the 2010 season. So, a little different feel this year. But, making that jump from a team that had the future Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and a veteran-laden team that fell just short of making the playoffs, in that winning game at home against a division rival. A year later, they're 8-8 going into a game against a division rival, and they beat them this time to make the playoffs with a team that's much younger, a quarterback that's way less experienced, way less household names on this team, and they did it. And I just kind of want to talk about the significance of that, the fact that they were able to accomplish this feat, the fact that they were able to silence a lot of critics, a lot of people in the offseason who said a lot of things about not only Jordan Love, but this organization and the way that they put the team together, the way that they let Aaron Rodgers out the door, when he still was not ready to be done and hang up the cleats yet. So, you go back, and like I said, I started with a year ago with that Lions game, and then you just fast forward through that off season, you go to the draft, and the team clearly had a need at wide receiver and just supporting Jordan Love with more weapons. With the losses of Devontae Adams the year before, but then Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb leaving in free agency, Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis just didn't have many pass catchers left. They had Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs heading into year two, who were very promising in 2022, but they needed more guys. So they go out in the draft and they get Jaden Reed, wide receiver in the second round at Michigan State. And then they double up in the second round, taking Luke Musgrave, the tight end. And then third round, Tucker Kraft at tight end. And fifth round, Ontavian Wicks at wide receiver. And a lot of these guys, I think, in that draft, people were very pleased with the draft, given the prospect profiles of those guys. But a lot of people were thinking, this is going to be kind of a mess this year. They're going to have some flashes here and there, but ultimately not enough veteran talent to surround Love with. It's just going to be an inexperienced quarterback with inexperienced weapons. And you go into the season, and, that's what it looked like at first. It looked like early in the year that they were struggling in that area. They just had a lot of guys who weren't running the right routes. Jordan Love was forcing balls into coverage. He didn't have great protection or a running game either, so that didn't help. But it just was an unorganized mess out there, to put it lightly. So The Packers struggled early in the year and they fell to 2-5 at one point, and then 3-6. And a lot of people, the whispers of, oh, Jordan Love is a bust and Brian Gutekunst is a terrible general manager. Matt LaFleur even needs fired. Yada yada. They were getting louder. Those whispers were, and they hit a point this past year where they needed everything to click, because ultimately I think LaFleur and Gutekunst's job were on the line, and even Jordan Love knew he had to show some progress the rest of the year. Otherwise, the Packers could be looking for a new quarterback in the offseason, or at least some competition for him, or he would be on the hot seat in 2024. And, they hit a point in the season. Matt LaFleur said it was the Pittsburgh game, and I kind of tend to agree, where they hit their stride. And then, won, I think it ended up being, 6 of their last 8 games, something like that. 6 of their last 9. So, and then they finished 9-8. And it's just a testament to this team and this offense and this young talent, the fact that they were able to do that. And, being the youngest team in the NFL to make the playoffs, you can't understate just how incredible of a feat that is. A lot of times teams need that veteran ability. Like, they need that Mercedes Lewis in the locker room, to hold guys steady and keep them motivated when, things are bleak, or when these rookies hit the inevitable rookie wall. They've only played 12 games in college, moving on to 17 in the NFL. And then, when you don't have certain guys like that, now, not to say this team didn't have any veterans. They had Aaron Jones, but he was in and out injured, but still a big voice in the locker room, I feel like, throughout the year. You had guys like Elton Jenkins on offense, a veteran, really good offensive lineman, but ultimately they had some guys come out and, once they hit their stride, once they learned the offense, and once Jordan Love found his chemistry with these guys, they took off. And it was awesome to watch. It was awesome to see this year. And the future is very bright. You think back to those early 2010s teams with Aaron Rodgers, that Sports Illustrated cover where it was Aaron Rodgers and Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, James Jones, Randall Cobb, Jermichael Finley. You've seen the cover if you're a Packers fan, and you know that those were great times with all those receivers. And it's kind of incredible how this team, despite, having Jordan Love come in with a lot of these guys who are brand new, a lot of those guys that when Rodgers took over, they were already veteran established guys that were really good under Brett Favre in 2007. But, like I said, they come in this year with a lot of green, a lot of unproven guys, and Love still connects with those guys. And it makes you wonder, like, is there going to be a Sports Illustrated cover in the future with Jordan Love and his receivers and tight ends? Who knows? But pretty awesome stuff to think about. And, I think Goody just took a page out of Ted Thompson's playbook. Goody was in the organization back when Ted Thompson built up that team that eventually won Super Bowl 45 with Aaron Rodgers and all those great weapons. And he just saw that the blueprint, they developed Aaron Rodgers just like they developed Jordan Love. Those receivers, none of them were first-round picks. Greg Jennings was a second. James Jones was a third. Randall Cobb was a second. Later on, Devontae Adams was a second. Jermichael Finley was a third. And now a lot of these guys, Jaden Reed is a second-round pick. Luke Musgrave, second-round pick. Tucker Kraft, third-round pick. Christian Watson, second-round pick. Romeo Doubs, fourth-round pick. Dontavian Wicks, fifth-round pick. All, day 2 to early day 3 guys. And what they do is they just find these guys who they know can play, they know have the ability, but they may not be the most physically imposing like Julio Joneses or Calvin Johnsons of the world, but that's okay. Oftentimes in the NFL, I feel like the wide receiver position is more of an art than anything. It's these guys who can run crisp routes, have good releases, be crafty in their game. I feel like Greg Jennings was that way in his prime. Devontae Adams was clearly that way. And now you look at a guy like Dontavian Wicks, who no one outside of Green Bay knew who this guy was before the season, but he was a guy that if he would have come out in the 2022 draft, would have likely been a lot higher pick than a fifth-round pick. But he didn't have the best 2022 season. Green Bay gets a steal in the fifth, and you watch this guy play, and the way he moves is different. His releases off the line of scrimmage, his fluidity in his route running, his sure hands, his confidence, just all of it. And he's an underrated athlete as well. He can just play. He can ball. And it's pretty awesome to watch. And, a lot of people think he might be the wide receiver one for this team in the future. Not Christian Watson, not Romeo Doubs, not Jaden Reed. Not even, Bo Melton is coming up. No. They think it is Dontavian Wicks. And I think it's possible. I do like Jaden Reed a lot. And I like Christian Watson when he's fully healthy. I think those two guys can be alphas. But it's a group collective. They don't need to have a wide receiver one on this team. Jordan Love is really good about scanning the field and finding the open guy. At the end of Rodgers' stint in Green Bay, we knew that he liked to target down his guys a lot, especially Davante Adams. And, Davante Adams is a future Hall of Famer, so you can't really blame him for looking for Davante. But Jordan, with all these guys, he just kind of goes through his progressions, does the offense, and finds the open man. And it's great to see. And, like I said, making the playoffs this year was just a remarkable accomplishment for this young team. And, that's why I'd give them a puncher's chance in Dallas this weekend, because they're a bunch of kids who don't know better. They're a bunch of kids who, have come up and they've been in some big games. They've been in playoff mode now for the last 3 weeks. They won 3 games in a row. And now this is game 4 of their playoffs. And maybe they can go into Dallas and sneak out a win. Who knows? It's going to be a big game. It's going to be personal for Mike McCarthy going up against his old team that he coached in Green Bay. So a lot is on the line. And, the Cowboys, though, are a team that has all the pressure on them this weekend. They're the team that has consistently fallen short in the playoffs. They haven't been to the NFC Championship game since the 90s. So for them, falling anything short of the NFC Championship game this year would be big letdown, especially if they lost in the first round to Green Bay. That would be a massive letdown for that team. But Green Bay, they lose this game. Yeah, obviously, it's always disappointing to lose a playoff game, but it's not like these past Rodgers teams. This is going to be some very valuable experience for them this weekend, going into Dallas. Hopefully they can, be competitive, have a learning experience, and maybe get the win. Who knows? Would be awesome to see. And just once again, just got to give credit to Goody for putting this team together. These last 2 drafts have been phenomenal. I'm going to talk about that in a future episode. But, it's just been great to watch this team silence the doubters, silence the haters, watch Jordan Love grow up in front of our eyes and these young receivers. And people are just going to have to accept that this guy's good. They're going to have to get out of their delusions, of thinking, permanently thinking that this guy's going to be bad or sucks, because I still see some of that, especially on Twitter/X. These guys who just think, Jordan Love has to be bad. You got to accept that the guy's good. It just is what it is. He grew up right in front of our eyes, and now we're going to watch him dominate. So thanks again for watching this episode. Once again, you can follow me on Twitter at PackerNation2K, and go Pack Go. See you guys.